So I work in the restaurant industry, right? And I just recently got a promotion where I am now in the position of manager support. Basically, what that is so there's a GM, there are AGMs, then there are just managers, and then below the managers is manager support. That's the position I just got promoted to. It's like a once a week thing. Otherwise, I'm serving or I'm doing to goes or whatever, wherever they end up putting me, right? So this was like my third or so shift that I've worked as manager support. I've been here for about 3 years, so I know how to do literally everything. The only thing I don't know how to do is get behind the bar and make the bar drinks, right? So it's an extremely busy like Wednesday evening for whatever reason. Nobody knows why it's so busy, but it's just the place is popping, right? So we only have one manager, we only have one bartender, and we only have me, the manager support, right? So we were spread pretty thin. I'm running around the place helping out servers as I can, helping out the bakery, help make the desserts and whatnot. And eventually the bartender comes up to me, whom I know very well. So she comes up to me and she's like, "Hey Raiden, so I need you to real quick pour this beer for this gentleman from the tap and give it to this table, right?" So I'm like, "This is gonna be easy, bro. I've never poured a beer before, but I have seen it done. I know what it looks like to pour a beer. I can do this first try." So I go up and it's from the tap, right? So it's not just like a bottle of Corona that I can pop open and pour into a mug. No, it's straight up from the tap, meaning I'm gonna have to put the cup under it, pull the tap, and then the beer is gonna come out, right? She explained to me that they had just replaced the tap in the back. So she was like, she tried to prepare me for a bunch of foam coming out, right? So I'm going back there and I'm like, cool, I'm going to be able to just pull the lever. A bunch of foam is going to come out. After the foam comes out is when I'm going to be able to pour the beer, right? So I walk up. I walk up there with confidence too. I'm ready to like freaking make this beer. So I pull the lever and it sprays quite literally everywhere. It gets all over a customer, it gets all over the bar top, it gets all over me, it gets all through it. Somehow none of it got on the in the actual mug, but it got everywhere else. And I was like, okay, well, now every single bit of confidence that I had is just gone. So I'm so insecure about this now, and I'm like going up there with my mug, and I'm like, it's gonna do it again. But I'm like, she told me this was gonna happen. I just need to tough through it, right? So I do it again. And same thing happens. It sprays literally everywhere. And at this point, I have an audience of a good 3 or 4 customers all just staring at me fail to pour this beer. And then, so eventually, I've already filled one of these cups of just straight up foam. Eventually, a customer comes up and he says, "Hey man, there's a plug in it. You need to take the plug out. The plug is causing it to spray everywhere." And I'm like, "Oh, I thought that it was supposed to be there." So it's 4 taps. They each had a plug in there. It was to stop it from dripping, right? So I'm like, "Oh my gosh, you're absolutely right. Thank you so much," right? I wish I could say that's where the embarrassment ended, but it just continues. So I'm like, "Okay, awesome. I'm gonna take the plug out and now I'm gonna pour the beer." I take the plug out. Meanwhile, 4 customers are still all watching me, including the guy who just told me, "Hey, there's a plug in it." So they're all watching me. I take the plug out. I proceed to pour, quite literally, 5 cups of foam. No beer, just 5 cups of only foam. And and then one of the servers walks up. The boyfriend of the bartender walks up. And he's like, "Hey man, you bartending now?" And I'm like, "Dog, does it look like I'm bartending? I have 5 cups of foam right here." So all my confidence, the little tiny bit of confidence that I had, was shut down by the guy telling me that there was a plug in it. And then and then immediately after, I'm pouring nothing but foam. And the whole time the bartender is extremely busy with her tables in the bar. She's not even behind the bar top anymore. She eventually comes up. She's like, "Here, I'll show you." She grabs the mug out of my hand, pulls the lever, a bunch of foam comes out before she even puts the mug under. Then she puts the mug under, pours a perfect cup of beer, right? And so basically, she asked me to help her, and I literally just couldn't even end up helping her. It just just ended up getting her doing it anyways. But anyways, I wish I could say this is where it ended, but it somehow gets worse. So I'm like, okay, I need to take this to table 233. Awesome. I'm gonna go take this over to 233. The person that I have to drop the beer off to is quite literally the person who told me that there was a plug in the tap. So I'm walking up, freaking legs shaking, because I'm like, I completely just screwed up this man's beer. He watched me do it, sat there probably with embarrassment. He probably got secondhand embarrassment for me failing so bad. And I have to now drop him off this beer. Keep in mind, I look like I'm a manager because I'm dressed in my manager clothes because I was doing manager support today. So I'm like, oh, I have to walk up looking like a manager, even though I still look extremely young because I am. I still walk up and I'm like, now I need to give this man his beer that he just watched me fail to pour. And I'm like, okay, I have to at least acknowledge it somehow. I can't just drop this beer off and be like, oh, there's your beer, sir, because then it's just going to be worse. So I need to acknowledge it somehow. So I'm walking up to drop the beer off. He's with his family. He's with a wife and a small child. And I'm like, I drop it off, and I look at him, I laugh, and I'm like, as you can probably tell, I've never poured a beer before. I kid you not. This man looks me in the eyes, deadpan, and just goes, yeah. That's it. No laugh, nothing. He just looks at me and deadpan says, yeah, I can tell. I was like, dude, you can see how embarrassed I am at the fact that I failed at pouring this beer so many times. And then you're just gonna freaking say yeah, not even like be like, oh yeah, I failed at pouring a couple of beers or whatever. You can't meet me in the middle ground. You just gotta kick me while I'm down. Ugh, it was so embarrassing. But I learned how to pour beer because the next time I was asked to pour a beer, I did it flawlessly. No foam or nothing. I only made one mug of foam afterwards. And I hope I never do. I hope I never fail that again because that was so embarrassing. It was just all the people watching me fail was like, ugh, so embarrassing. But yeah, thank you for watching this far into the video. Bye.